Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Get to the Source with Dr. Marco. My name is Robert Allen. I'm Dr. Marco's producer, and I'll be here in the background managing the podcast, the webcast, and making sure that all of your questions are answered. And today's topic is one I think of interest to everyone. This webinar is called Eat Well, and Dr. Marco is going to be dispelling some of the common nutritional myths out there. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. So you can get your questions to Dr. Marco right on the event page. There's a chat box right below the live video that you're watching. And you can just type in your questions and your comments in there as soon as they pop into your head. And then when it comes to the question and answer portion, we will make sure to get to your questions. So I would like to get right to our webinar. I'd like to introduce Dr. Marco. Hi, Dr. Marco. How you doing?
Hey, Robert. Thank you so much for the great introduction. And it's been a little bit of time since we've had the last Get to the Source. I'm excited to be back on track. This is going to be an excellent presentation, and I'm excited to share this information with everybody. And I do encourage using the question box. I mean, we've made it very convenient that on the exact same page that you're viewing this webinar, below it, there's a chat box that you could just type in your question, and Robert will be able to see that and go right into it. Because I like to have interaction in these types of presentations and webinars, because that's the best way for you to learn, for you to get the answers that are in your head answered. So, you know, today's webinar is going to really be about how to eat well. You know, every time that I do some type of presentation, I like to give a little bit of an agenda to understand and show the trajectory of where we're going with this talk. So, you know, we're going to begin with obviously an introduction to what we're calling Eat or Eat Well. What is this presentation all about? Then we're going to unfortunately have to discuss some facts, because in order for you to understand how important this is, you have to understand where we are as a world and where we're going. And we have to understand what's going on with this obesity epidemic, because it's unfortunately getting worse rather than better. And then we're going to go into debunking, as I say, some of the common nutritional myths. There are myths out there, or there are things that are being said out there that unfortunately are not 100% correct. And if you follow those myths, or you think those myths are true, you could be going down the wrong path towards proper health and wellness. Then we're going to discuss 5 easy things that you could implement into your life, and it will bring you on that path towards proper health and wellness. And then at the end, we're going to take those steps, implement it in your life, and then it's time down the road to look in that mirror and say, wow, I look amazing, simply because I took the steps that I learned in this presentation. So what is the purpose of today's presentation? You know, the presentation is called Eat. You know, so it's kind of like a catchphrase, you know, eat well, however you want to say it. But we're not teaching you, even though I just said it a moment ago, I'm not teaching you these nutritional techniques simply to look good. It's great to look good, but you also have to have a properly functioning body. So the techniques that I'm going to give you not only are going to help you look good, but they're also going to give you a great abundance of energy. It's going to give you, obviously, if you look better, you have a little bit higher self-esteem. It's also going to give you the complexion that people will start to talk about. You know, that you want to have people around you saying, man, you look amazing, or what have you been doing? You know, have you been eating well? Have you been exercising? What is it that has been working for you? You know, then obviously, being that you feel well and you look well and you have a high self-esteem, you're going to be a little bit more positive about life. And being positive actually is good for your overall health, because it provides more positive things into your life. And you want to be that poster family in your community. You know, you want everybody in your community to see you and your family and be like, man, they're doing something right, because they all look great. And then you obviously want to be that person that looks in the mirror and say, damn, I look great, or I look good. So here's our, logo this for the webinar, and it's called Eat. And in order to get to this place that we want to be by the end of this webinar, we have to understand where we are as a nation. And unfortunately, we have a big obesity epidemic. In fact, there is actually a study out there that that said that in 2010, and this is scary statistics, 680,000 people died for nutritional reasons. Whether it's diabetes, whether it was heart disease, something that nutrition took them towards that. And that is more than smoking. There was only 465,000 deaths that year from smoking. And everybody's ranting and raving about, how much smoking is bad for you and it kills you and blah, blah, blah. How many people are running out there saying the foods that you're eating might kill you? Not many. And it's scary because if you look on the screen right now, there's a map. I know it's from 1985, but there's a reason why I'm showing that. In 1985, this map is from the CDC. They did an evaluation on all the people in the United States that were obese, or they're in their category of obese. And if you look at this, see how it's mostly blue and white. So if you look on the chart, mostly blue and white is under 10 to 14%. That's how many people in that area were obese. If we look at this next chart is from 2013. Now, if you look at this one, I know the colors are different, and I apologize about that. It's just the way that they did it. But if you look at this, you see a lot more colors in the yellow, orange, and red range. And if you look at the statistics there, the yellow range, 25 to 30%, the orange range, 30 to 35%, and the red is 35% and above. That means that in those areas, anywhere from 25% to 35% of that area is obese, compared to 10 to 15% just about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So if you understand that, we're only getting bigger and more obese as a nation. And it's simply because of our eating habits. Nobody's teaching you how to eat well. They're teaching you things that either they learned, if it's a family, history, things that they learned when they were younger. And our parents and our grandparents, they try to do the best for us, but sometimes they're not educated about the best things to eat. So they eat to taste well. Unfortunately, sometimes the things that taste the best are unfortunately not the best for us. So let's talk about, there's probably countless of myths out there that I could go over. But what I want to do is just go over 5 myths that are circulating around the world, that if you believe these to be true, you're going in the wrong trajectory. You're going more towards sickness and disease rather than more towards health and wellness. So the first one, and this may shock you, the first one is whole wheat is a healthy food and it should be a part of your well-balanced diet. And I know this has been something that's been becoming more and more popular because a lot more people are starting to understand that there is unfortunately a negative effect of having too much carbohydrates, especially from white flour and stuff like that. So people were taught, well, watch your white flour, watch your breads, but you're okay to have whole wheat. Unfortunately, whole wheat gets clunked into that gluten category. And if you think about what the agriculture has done to our wheat and gluten these days, what you're eating now is so modified genetically that it's not the same food, even the wheat that you're eating 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And being that it's so genetically modified, that means your body does not know how to process that. So now you're changing from a white flour to a wheat flour, which is better, but it's still not good for you. You know, the diet that we're going to teach you today is going to be more of a shock to you, because I'm probably going to be removing some of the foods that you may like the best and taste the best, not because I'm trying to make you suffer, but I'm trying to make you the healthiest you could be. And there's no way you could be healthy if you're eating all the things that are making our nation 35–40% obese. And in fact, not to go off track, there's been projections that by the year 2050, we're going to have a nation of about 50–60% obesity. So what comes with obesity? Sickness and disease. So not only are we going to have obesity, but we're going to have more sickness and disease, which means we're going to be getting sicker as a nation, not healthier. Just want to throw that segue in there. But it's just, this is a lot more than just, hey, I just want to eat because I'm hungry. This is you got to look at it more about, you want to be as healthy as you can be. And one of the biggest stresses is what you put in your body. I call it metabolic stress, whatever you want to call it. The food that you put in your body, you've heard that saying, you are what you eat. It's 100% true. If you're eating garbage, you're going to have garbage health. So number 2, and this is a big one, eating fat makes you more fat. So if you want to lose weight, you actually want to eat less fat. That is very false, because fat is actually very good for you, and it actually allows you to be healthier. It allows you to lose weight a little bit better, because what's keeping this nation fat, believe it or not, is not the fat we're eating. It's actually all of the sugar and glucose and all of the stuff that's coming from the carbohydrates. So if you keep eating the high carbohydrate type things, that turns into sugar. Excess sugar in our body turns into fat. So it's not the fat that's making you fat, it's the sugar that's making you fat. So don't be afraid to have fat. You know, don't be afraid, oh, this has a high fat content, so I don't want to have it. That might actually be good for you. There's really good fats out there. You know, your avocados are great fat. Your almonds and walnuts and all that stuff are good fats. Those are things that you should be having on a regular basis. Number 3, a high protein diet increases strain on your kidneys, so it raises your risk for kidney disease. That's not 100% true either, because protein is actually what is one of the best things for our body and for our health. But there is moderation. So, you know, we're not telling you to go out and eat, you know, 100–200 grams of protein a day. There is actually a formula, and I should have put this in the presentation. I'm sorry, but there's a formula to find out how much protein you should have a day. And it's very easy. You take your weight in kilograms. How you find that out is you take your weight in pounds, you divide it by 2.2. That will give you how much your weight is in kilograms. Then you take 80% of that. So you times it by 0.8. So you should have 80% of your weight in grams, in kilograms of protein per day. So let's just say, for instance, you weigh 100 kilograms. You should have about 80–90 grams per day. That's a great formula to use. And if you go by that formula, you're going to go nowhere near putting the stress on your kidneys. So once again, that quick formula, take your weight in pounds, divide it by 2.2. That'll give you your weight in kilograms. That weight in kilograms, take 80% of that, and that's how much grams per day. I know it's a lot, but that's why I did it twice, and I should have put it in there. If you want me to email it or send it to you, I can do that for you as well. So that's our 3rd myth. Our 4th myth is all calories are equal. So it does not matter where your food is coming from. That's pretty ridiculous to say, because wouldn't you rather have 50 calories of lettuce and fruits and vegetables than 50 calories of McDonald's? You know, it's all relative. You know, you want to have as many calories as you can of good food. So you want to put good food in. And I even go as far as, don't worry about calories. There's people out there that are calorie counters, and there's some nutritional programs that solely go around counting your calories. It's great, it works, but do you want to know why it works? Not because you're counting your calories, but because you're actually taking responsibility and doing the right things and eating better nutritious meals. You're not going and eating a double cheeseburger and having 3,000 calories. So every nutritional program out there works because it changes what you're currently doing. If your body is used to eating the way you're eating right now, any change to that in a positive direction is going to take you away from where you are right now. So no matter what nutritional program you do, it's going to work. The problem is a nutritional program is not a temporary fix. It's what you're going to eat for the rest of your life. So it's really important to know, like, whatever you change in your diet, this is a change that you want forever. It's not just, oh, I got a wedding next month, I have to lose 30 pounds. It's, no, I want to live the next 50 years of my life as healthy as I could, so I'm going to eat well. Last but not least, and this is a big one as well, is the only people who should go gluten-free are people with celiac disease. And this is a big one, very big one, because the medical community, as great as they are, unfortunately only looks at gluten sensitivity in celiacs, which means that they're only getting symptoms in their digestive system. So what do? They take a blood test, they see if you have sensitivity to gluten in that digestive area. If you don't have it, they say you're not gluten-free, go ahead, have as much gluten as you want. Unfortunately, recent research now has gluten sensitivity in the category of a neurological disease. Why? Because it affects your neurological system, which means there's a lot more than gluten sensitivity than in your digestive system. So there's gluten sensitivity where it attacks your thyroid. There's gluten sensitivity where it attacks your joints. There's gluten sensitivity where it attacks your cerebellum, the part of your brain that is your balance and coordination center. So gluten-free isn't just for celiac disease. And that's why it's really important. There's an amazing blood test out there. You have to go to the right doctor to get it, by a company called Cyrex Labs. And it checks the 25 to 50 different strands of gluten in order to find out which strand that you're sensitive to. If you get that entire test back and it's all positive, it's all negative, you're not sensitive to any of the wheats, then I would say, yeah, you can have the gluten, that's fine. But if any of those things come back negative, like say it attacks your thyroid, say it attacks your immune system, say it attacks your nervous system, you can't have gluten ever again. If you want to be healthy, if you want to go down that road of sickness and disease, that's your own decision. But it's really important to know that gluten sensitivity is not just for celiacs. It could be for anybody, and it's a lot more common than you expect. They've gone as far as saying that gluten sensitivity is in children with autism and ADHD and stuff like that. So it's way bigger. And I know people are saying this gluten-free thing is a fad. It's not a fad. It's a fact. It's a fact that you're going to get sick if you're on gluten for the rest of your life. So a key to eating healthy is to avoid foods that have a commercial. It may sound funny, but most of these commercials are created by these high-end pharmaceutical companies, these companies that aren't the most natural. So most of the cereals that are on there, most of the commercials out there are promoting more unnatural things. So it's a good rule of thumb. It's not like your go-to rule of thumb, but if there's tons of commercials about it, it's probably not the best thing. So our goal is let's do this together. I want to help you become the healthiest you can be. And in order to do that, we have to all understand what you're putting in your body and why. So it's time to say, wow. You want to look in that mirror in the next 3 to 4 months, whether you're obese, slightly overweight, or just want to take better care of yourself. Whatever category you're in, this is not just for someone that's overweight. This is for everyone. And all we want to do is 3-4 months down the road say, man, wow, I look a heck of a lot better than I did 3 months ago. You might not have that body you want. You may not have that perfect figure that you want. But if you start this program and in 2 to 3 months, you lose 20 pounds, that's amazing. So it's time to say, wow. So eat well. These are some of the tips that I'm going to give you today to understand how to get to that point of saying, wow. So our first strategy, and it might sound funny, is eat like a caveman or cavewoman. The reason why we say that is, if you think of our ancestors back in the Paleolithic times, what were they eating? Were they eating hamburgers and hot dogs? Were they eating breads and pastas? No, they were eating things that they could either grow or kill. And I know it sounds a little gruesome, but that's what our bodies were created to fuel itself on. Because you got to think about it, food is fuel. So the fuel that you need comes from those types of food. So that's my rule of thumb that I want you to think about. If you could grow it or kill it, it's something that is better for you than something that you can't grow or kill. So you think about these products that are keeping us sick, like our high carbohydrate things like bread, pasta, all these sandwiches, these wheats, all that stuff is keeping us sick. That's something that was man created. Agriculture as it developed started creating those things. That wasn't something that was naturally there. So you want to eat like a caveman or a cavewoman. So here's a short list of what we can and can't eat. So let's go to the side that we shouldn't eat. Let's go to the right side. So what not to eat. And this is a good list, so you don't want to have your cereals and grains. As much as we may think that they're good for us, they're unfortunately not. Your legumes and that includes peanuts. So you may not know this, but in the nut family, peanuts are probably on the lowest part of it. When you think about nuts, because I'm going to say that you want to eat nuts and seeds and stuff like that. But when I say that, it doesn't include peanuts, even though it says nut in it. Peanut is actually in the legume category. So when you talk about nuts, you want to have your almonds, your walnuts, your Brazilian nuts. All those type of things are more healthier for you than peanuts. You want to stay away from dairy, and it's sad to see that sometimes because everybody out there loves their cheese, loves their milk, stuff like that. But unfortunately, our bodies were not equipped to process the dairy that's created, especially when it's pasteurized. So dairy is something you want to remove. You want to remove refined sugars, so that's artificial sugars. That is the sugar that comes from all of these breads, pastas, and wheats. You want to watch out for potatoes, more in the category of white potatoes, because you actually can eat a sweet potato. It is a healthier version of a potato. So if you want to choose one or the other, I would say go more sweet potato. You want to remove all processed food. The word itself should say it, processed. Why do you want to put something in there that was processed in a factory, processed by a man-made thing? It just makes more sense. Like, why would you want to put something in your body that is not good for you? You want to watch the salt in moderation, because salt is actually good for us. There is good aspects of salt, but you don't want to be the person that go grabs a steak and then all of a sudden they're putting a half a pound of salt on it. That's not good. Small moderations is better. And you want to watch the refined vegetable oils. The reason why is they're very high in omega-6. I've said this before in the past. There's an omega-6 and omega-3 ratio in our body. Omega-6 is pro-inflammatory, meaning it causes inflammation in the body. Omega-3 is the opposite. It decreases inflammation. You want to have an even balance of omega-6 to omega-3. If you're having a lot of vegetable oils, and vegetable oils you got to think are in anything fried. So if you're having a lot of fried foods, French fries, anything that's fried is usually in vegetable oils, especially in restaurants. That is going to cause more inflammation in the body. And research shows chronic inflammation is one of the biggest causes to most diseases. heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all that stuff. There's a chronic inflammation aspect of that. So you want to make sure you're not having a lot of that. And then to balance that out, omega-3 is great, which comes from your fishes, your healthy oils like your olive oils, walnuts, oils, your avocado, stuff like that. So that brings us over to the left side. So what do you want to eat? You want to have, like I said, something that you can grow or something you could kill. So you want to have grass-fed meats. That's the best way to have it. You know, there's meat out there, there's cows out there that are being fed with a lot of hormones and stuff like that. You want to find grass-fed because that's the most natural. You want to have plenty of fish and seafood. I know there's some people out there that are probably saying, you know, I'm a vegetarian. How am I going to do this? Well, there's ways of getting around it. You can get around it. Or some of you may be allergic to shellfish. Well, believe it or not, shellfish is actually the worst type of fish for you. The better fish for you is more of your tunas, your salmons, stuff like that. So you want to have a lot of fish and seafood. You want to have a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. Some of them should be more organic than others. So the rule of thumb for that is you want to think about the skin of the fruit. So if you bite into the skin, for instance, an apple, a peach, something like that, if you're biting into the skin directly, you want that to be organic, because if you have all the pesticides in it, the minute you eat that, it goes right into you. The things that you more peel, like a banana or an orange or something that you have to peel off the skin to get to the area that you eat, that's something that you don't have to get organic because you're not eating directly into that pesticide. So that's the rule of thumb of what to eat organic versus non-organic. If you could get all organic, obviously that's ideal, but I know some people, you know, that could be pretty pricey. So choose something that if you bite into the skin, you want that to be organic. You can have eggs. And I'm, you know, there's some people out there that love egg whites versus, you know, the egg with the yolk. I'm for both. You know, there's all this talk about the yolk raises your cholesterol. I mean, it's all, you know, that's not as true as they make it. And in fact, even high cholesterol is not even as risky as they make it. You know, it's really the inflammation that causes the heart disease, not the cholesterol. The reason why you're getting a lot of cholesterol is the inflammation is destroying the blood vessels. I mean, I could go on another tangent with that, but I won't in respect of the time here. But that's really the cause of heart disease is the chronic inflammation destroying the blood vessels, cholesterol trying to repair it. You know, that's a whole nother conversation. So there's a reason why your body has that high cholesterol, and it's not because you're having eggs with yolk. So eggs with or without, I mean, would I do it every day? No, I wouldn't do it every day, but having it in your diet would be amazing. You want to have plenty of nuts and seeds. Like I said, sunflower seeds, walnuts, almonds, the nuts, that category of nuts are good for you, whereas your peanuts are not as good for you. And then you want to have your healthful oils, which are your olive oils, your walnut oils, flaxseed, coconut oil, macadamia, avocado, etc. Those are all your good oils. And guess what they have inside of it? Good fat, because your body needs that fat to function. So here's some examples. I gave a link. If you guys want this link, I will forward it over to you. But here's some examples of things that you could have in the morning. You know, you can have an Italian scrambled egg. You know, that Italian scrambled egg, you know, has, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was obviously egg. It had some peppers and onions in it. I mean, it was a delicious egg, but it had that stuff that we just said. It had eggs, fresh fruits and vegetables, etc. So that, you know, the next thing you can make for lunch is a taco salad. You know, you don't have to have, you know, a taco itself. You can just have the shell, put the salad inside of it, mix it up, and you know, you can make some great things. You can put some good avocado in there, or guacamole if you want to make a taco, all that stuff. Then for dinner, you can make salmon cakes. That's something you can have. And then for snacks, you can have your mixed nuts and almonds. You can roast vegetables in coconut oil. You can, if you're a hummus fan, you can have hummus with vegetables. And the key to eating well is actually eating throughout the day. So you want to have those snacks between each of the meals. So you want to have a breakfast. And the breakfast that I recommend, even though it says eggs, I recommend a breakfast that is more protein based. You want to stay away from your cereals and your breads and stuff like that in the morning, because that raises your blood sugar and then spikes it down about a couple hours later. So you want to eat a protein-based breakfast. Then you're going to take these snacks that you're having, put it in between that meal. So before you have lunch, you're going to, about 2 hours after you eat breakfast, you're going to eat one of those snacks, whatever it is, whatever you want. Then you're going to have your lunch. Then about 2 hours later, you're going to have another snack. Then you're going to have your dinner. Then about 2 hours later, you're going to have another snack. Then all of a sudden, now you ate throughout the day, and hopefully it's healthier stuff. And what that does is it keeps your metabolism active, and it also keeps your blood sugar level rather than going up and down, up and down. So number 2 is never be hungry and never be full. I kind of went ahead of myself. This is the exact thing I just said. You never want to eat so much that you could barely move and be hungry, but you don't want to not eat that you're feeling that you're starving. You know, so that's why it's important to eat regularly throughout your meals. So you want to have that breakfast, you want to have that snack, you want to have that lunch, the snack, the dinner, the snack again. That will keep you at that level, the normal level. If you're somebody that only has, say, 2 meals a day, what your body's doing, because it doesn't know when it's going to be getting that next food, is it's storing all of its fat and calories. So you can never lose weight because it's storing everything that you're eating. So if you're storing it, how are you going to burn it? Because if you eat, you know, say nothing in the morning, you have a little bit of coffee at 10 o'clock, then your first meal is at 1 o'clock. Then you kind of do your day. You don't eat anything. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock comes around. You might have another coffee because you're getting tired. And then you go home for dinner at 8 o'clock and you have a dinner. Now you had 2 cups of coffee and 2 meals. Well, your body's saying, shoot, I got to be in recovery mode. I got to be in protection mode. I have to store everything that I'm eating. So basically, you'll never lose that extra weight and calories that you have. It's better to be on top of that and keep that metabolism going so that you can still have those normal metabolic functions. Strategy 3. So we got 1, 2, and 3 is 1 liquid only. And I only say this because if you're not drinking water, you're replacing it with something unhealthy, most likely. Not everybody. And some people say they hate water. They hate the way it tastes. I can never do water. I hate it. Well, you could spruce up water by adding some type of fruit to it, you know, or adding some type of flavor to it. I wouldn't go get these artificial sugars and these mayos and all these things you squirt in because they're all artificial stuff. Just go get some lemons or limes or whatever you like and squeeze it in or let it soak in there. It'll spruce it up a little bit and make it taste better. But water is really the only thing you need to survive. In fact, if you don't have water, guess what happens to you in the next 24 to 48 hours? You're done. You could go with food for days, but you can't go hours without water because your body needs that water to survive. So 1 liquid only is what we recommend. So the last one is the green stimulation. You know, that means greens, like adding greens into your life. You want to have that because that's going to help you with your energy. And this might challenge the coffee eaters, because coffee is the go-to thing for people when they're tired or when they have low energy. And unfortunately, there's other effects of coffee that are more than just, hey, I'm tired. And an easy way to pick up that energy is to have like a smoothie, a green smoothie, or a smoothie that will bring the proper vitamins inside of you to give you that proper energy boost. Because the energy boost from coffee is straight caffeine. It's not your proper vitamins like vitamin Bs and stuff like that. So there's really more to coffee that that you may not realize. And the unfortunate truth of coffee is, yeah, it gives you energy, but guess what else it does for you? It interferes with your body's ability to use water and promotes fluid loss. So guess what? The more coffee you're drinking, the more dehydrated you're becoming. Unfortunately, that means you have to drink more water. If you're not drinking water, you're becoming severely dehydrated. And dehydration is one of the biggest causes to chronic migraines, chronic fatigue, stuff like that. High coffee or a lot of coffee will also raise your cholesterol. You know, and I just said a little while ago that cholesterol isn't the driving factor, but that was for heart disease. But you don't want high cholesterol. it means something's going on in your body that it's raising that number, because your body is always in a state of trying to stay in equilibrium. So every level that we have in our body, whether it's cholesterol, whether it's insulin levels, whether it's glucose, your body is always in a state of trying to keep that even. If it's rising, it means something's going on, something that needs to be addressed. And one thing could be excess coffee, because it raises the cholesterol. Then it also sends your insulin levels out of control. What does insulin do? Insulin takes the glucose out of your blood and brings it to the cells for survival in normal doses. In high doses, insulin makes you store fat. And it also, if you get too much insulin release, you could become insulin resistant, which means that insulin is no longer working on that glucose, and it could raise the blood sugar up. It contributes to rheumatoid arthritis and stroke, simply because it causes more inflammation in our body. More inflammation in our body is going to cause our risk of other types of diseases. It damages your blood vessels. Bingo, that's why you're raising that cholesterol. So you have this inflammation damaging the blood vessels. Cholesterol comes to try to repair that. If it doesn't get repaired correctly, it just keeps trying to repair it. And then obviously it increases your risk for heart disease, because number one, if you're having damage to your blood vessels and clogging of the arteries, you have the increased risk. But then also you got to think about what coffee does is it increases your heart rate. So if you get an overworked heart, guess what happens? Eventually it could get overworked to the point where it fails on you. Because your body only has, let's just say your body only has, 50,000 beats that it could do a year. Throughout your lifetime. Obviously it's going to be more than that, but let's just use that number. If your body was equipped to have, 50,000 beats a year, wouldn't you want to get to that number slower than more? If you have this heartbeat that keeps going and going and going and going, eventually it's going to get so fatigued that it's going to be like, I can't work anymore. So again, I could send you these links if you want it, but two smoothies that we could recommend is a mango melon madness smoothie, as well as a coconut peach. I can tell you what I use in the morning. I use a smoothie every morning, and that smoothie includes a multi-nutritional shake that I use. I use what's called Vega 1. It's a vegetarian protein, but doesn't mean I'm vegetarian. It just means the protein I'm using is. And what I do in the morning is I take the Vega 1. I put it into a blender. I use the NutriBullet. I use that blender. I put ice in it. I put the smoothie. The multi-nutritional shake. I add in fruits and vegetables. So I add in kale, spinach, whatever I want that day. I add in, and when I use the fruit, I use more of the berry style fruit. So I use anything that says berry, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, stuff like that. I use that. I put it in there. I blend it up with either water, if you don't like almond or coconut milk, but I would recommend almond or coconut milk, especially over dairy milk. And I would put that in your life for every milk situation. So if you're somebody that puts milk in your coffee, or you're somebody that puts milk in your cereals, even though I don't recommend it, but if you're still going to do it, switch dairy milk from cows to coconut or almond milk. It's the best decision you'll ever make for your digestive system, and your entire body. So that's what I do. Then I blend it up. I add in a little bit of omega-3. I have a liquid omega-3. I put that in there. I add a little bit of liquid vitamin D. And that's what I take in the morning. And that's actually my breakfast, because it's so wholesome. And that's something you can easily do. It takes 5 minutes, not even 2 minutes in the morning. And if you're in a rush, you put on a cap to carry with it, and you take it in the car and you drink it in the car. It's easy as that. So there's no more excuses of I hate breakfast in the morning. I don't have time in the morning. I don't have the appetite in the morning. All you have to do is make this smoothie, and it's a good start. Our fifth strategy is be creative. And this is pretty easy, actually. So we all think that, in order to be healthy, you have to cut out everything that we like. That does not mean, it's not true at all. It means that you just have to choose the things you like and make them healthier. And a good way to do that is to go on Google, say you love pasta, or let's say pizza. Pizza is an easy one. Say you love pizza. You're going to go on Google and type in pizza paleo or paleo pizza. paleo meaning the paleo diet. The paleo diet is kind of what I just described right there. You will find hundreds of articles about how to make a pizza more paleo or more gluten-free and dairy-free and all that stuff. It's pretty easy, and you can almost do it with anything. You know, instead of having regular pasta, you can have a rice pasta, a brown rice pasta, or a quinoa, pasta or something like that. Those are things you could create, so you can actually still have what you love, but replace it with something else. It's all about being creative. And you can make it a family affair. You know, it's time to get your entire family involved. How hard is it to diet when everybody in your family is eating whatever they want? It doesn't work, simply because you don't have that support system. And now you're sitting there trying to say, oh, guys, I'm not going to have, this pizza today because I'm trying to eat healthy. And they're looking at you, like laughing at you, being like, ha, 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 we're going to have this pizza and you're going to sit there and suffer. Meanwhile, they're the ones that are going to be suffering in the long run because they're not the healthy ones. So you can make this a whole family thing, and I kind of went ahead of myself again, but, ask everybody in your family, what are their top 3 things they love? Obviously, they're going to say the things like, oh, I love pizza, I love tacos, I love burgers, I love hot dogs. Whatever they say, they're obviously going to be things you shouldn't eat. So then you go on Google and search pizza paleo or tacos paleo, because I could guarantee somebody out there has a recipe to make that healthier. And then guess what? Now you have the entire family eating what they quote unquote love, but in a healthier way. So after all that you heard today, if you implement this in your life, you could finally say, wow, it's time to say, wow. That's what life is about. Not saying wow, but life is about living to your highest potential, not suffering, in our old age. So we're here for you for one reason: to improve your quality of life and every single person that we encounter. So this is a lot more than just, hey, look in that mirror and look good. This is about me and my practice trying to better the health and lives of everybody in our community. So, number one, anything that you heard in this presentation, I highly suggest, or I recommend, that you share it with your loved ones. This video is being recorded. It's going to be live, or not live, it's going to be on the on YouTube and on our website and everything like that. So you can share this video even. But this is the talk that needs to be going around your life, around the community. It's the number one thing that needs to be talked about, is what you're putting in your body and why. And this, I gave easy steps. This is not stuff that is so hard to do. This is easy stuff. Add a little bit of water in your life. Remove all that crap sugar, because sugar is killing you. Eat more eat less carbohydrates, more protein, more fish, more fruits and vegetables. It's natural stuff that you want to eat. Your body will thank you. At first, it's going to think that it's doing the wrong thing. So it's going to start sending you weird signals like, I'm nauseous, I'm going to have a headache. But it's your body releasing all those bad toxins, believe it or not. So it's going to be hard the first couple weeks. But you do this for a couple weeks, and all of a sudden, you're not going to crave those crap foods that you've been eating for 20, 30, 40 years. But it's all about implementation. And I gave you 5 steps. If you choose one for this week, that's improvement. So change whatever you eat into water. That's an awesome thing. Then you could add in a second one. If this takes you 3 to 4 weeks to implement all 5 of them in your life, that's okay, because any change right now is going to be for the positive. So if you have any other questions, I'm hoping we have some questions, from the audience. If not, please feel free to contact me. I have my contact information right there. You can email us, or you could go to our website, and there's a way to directly contact us through the website. Do we have any questions?
Right now we don't. You've given another very thorough webinar, so we don't have any questions at the moment. But if anyone does, have any questions after the fact, obviously you can email them to Dr. Marco at the email address that you see on the screen.
Yeah. I mean, this webinar is ending soon, but it doesn't mean that I'm leaving you forever. This is my passion. I love what I do. I love sharing this information. So I could talk about this for days. You know, we've gone about 45 minutes talking about this, but I mean, I could go on for hours and days about this. So I'm not too far away. I mean, we have a social media. We were very active on social media. If you go on Facebook and you just search the word The Chiropractic Source, you'll see our page. I would suggest liking it. We give a lot of great health information on there. We're even on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search The Chiropractic Source, we're going to be on, we are on YouTube. We have tons of videos on there, past webinars that I've done, past educational videos that I've done. If you want to just improve your life and make your life better than it is right now, those are great steps to do it. And I'm excited to be a part of this, and I hope you take advantage of me and my knowledge and my practice. And you know, this is a nutritional talk. Our practice, I mean, specializes in so many things. So I'm here for you. My whole practice is here for you. The chiropractic community is here for you. Because this is really the only community that's talking like this, is the chiropractic healthcare community. Because your medical doctor isn't taking time out of their day at the end of their day to do a 45-minute webinar on how to eat well. They're so busy at their practice. It's great, but their focus is not on, you know, getting you well. Their focus on is controlling your symptom, and that's not what health is all about. We're about trying to help you become the healthiest you can be. And it takes more than just reacting to a symptom. It takes an entire lifestyle change. And I'm here for you. That's all I could say. So if we don't have any questions, we could wrap this up. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope the information was valuable. I believe it is. That could be just because I'm passionate about this, but the information is needed. And share this with everybody that you possibly know.